Hi, I'm Ayesha. I work for TOG Mind as one of the Adult Therapeutic Services Senior Managers. In 2018, well before I worked here, I was depressed. I'm not quite sure the events or anything that led up to that feeling. There wasn't one particular thing, I don't think there ever is. But for me, I was working full time at a job that I needed financially. I was in a bit of debt from being a student. I was also a student full time doing my masters, so just no time for myself at all. Drinking a lot because I worked in hospitality, and my partner was away in Australia on a holiday that he'd planned before we got together. He was away for quite some time, and I was living on my own for a period of time for that duration in 2018. It lasted about a year, and I'd felt low before. I'd felt flat. I'd felt where I didn't want to get out of bed some days, and just generally quite upset, as you do through life. You're not going to be happy all the time, but it wasn't like that. I really didn't feel like I wanted to be here anymore. I had a way that I was going to do it. I had a place where I'd have liked to do it, and I'd spend hours fantasizing about it. And that's the word I can only use. I can't say I was just thinking about it. I can't say it was fleeting. I would really quite intensely fantasize about it. Because for me it was a realistic possibility. If anything, it was an inevitability. Luckily, and I say luckily now, at the time I had really strong protective factors. Protective factors is a term that we use in mental health, which essentially means what's stopping you. So that could be people, it could be animals, it could be religion, it could just be things, it could be anything, and that looks different for different people, and any is valid. For me it was people, particularly my mother. I knew that my mum's still here today, but I knew that my mum would really be completely devastated and she would never recover from that. So for me that was what was really stopping me. I mean, I remember thinking, once my mum goes, I'll be able to do this. And obviously that you're looking at, my mum's not an ill person, so you're looking at years, decades, hopefully. And I genuinely felt that I would feel this way for the rest of my life, and my mum passing away would be the relief, and I could finally go with her, which is obviously for me now horrifying, but that is just genuinely how I felt at the time. But at the time I've got to say I resented it. I resented that there was something keeping me here that was completely cemented. I will say now I look at things a bit differently, a lot differently actually, naturally. When I am out with my dog, or I am on a night out, or just with my friends, or I'm in the house with my husband, sometimes I just stop and think, I would have missed all this. And I don't think you ever really do think the same as once you've been through that, because the way my mind had pieced things together, like maybe in, you know, times where you're just upset, you're just going through life, I thought that I would always, I always had felt that way. I did not just think that I would always feel that way, I thought that I always had. And now I look at things like, not just the positive things. So since 2018 I've got a job that I really love. I met my husband, well, I was with him at the time, but we got married. I've seen day-to-day things, seeing my nieces and nephews grow up. Yeah, obviously a ton of good stuff, but also the kind of rubbish stuff. My dad passing away in 2019, going through a pandemic and trying to navigate life through a pandemic. My granddad passing away, the latter end of 2018. These things that are ultimately horrifying and painful, you know, physically painful things to happen to somebody. But I'm glad that I've experienced that, because that's what makes life that's what life is, going through that. And I'm also glad that my mum and my family, my brothers, my friends, my partner didn't go through the loss of me. I specifically felt that when I lost a good friend of mine. He was just about to turn 30, and he was the life of the party. He was amazing. He hid his illness well. To those not so close around him, I think to those closest to him, they knew how he struggled, but that completely shattered me, not just to lose a friend, but to also see those around me lose a friend, and that they, you know, could have potentially lost me. And to know that my family as well would have had to go through that pain that I've ultimately seen, not just my friend, but, you know, other people go through, both professionally and personally. It is, you know, the toughest thing for families and loved ones to go through. The big thing with me is I literally never told a soul until after. So after I'd moved through it, I was still struggling, but I was really past that feeling of wanting to leave this earth. And I should have. I think that I don't judge myself at all, and I don't think anyone should judge themselves for how they deal with going through something like that, because you don't know it until you're in it. But there are services at TOG that have really opened my eyes, services that I directly manage. So we have our listening space here at Oldham that welcomes in anybody, whether you have severe and enduring mental health issues, have done all your life, but you're going through a particular period of struggling, or you're not involved in services at the minute and you need someone to speak to, or you're experiencing that blip, as we all do, mild distress, or actually what doesn't feel mild to you, you really just need someone to talk to and get it off your chest. We see all types of people from all walks of life who are experiencing all different things. If I'd have known that a service like that existed near me, because I'm not from here, I think I would have gone. And I think that's why it's so important to raise awarenesses of what is actually available in these communities, because that would have stopped me suffering quite so long as I did. I really do believe that. We also have in Tameside, Safe Tameside, which is a partnership between ourselves at TOG, the Anthony Seddon Fund and Minds Matter, which all these services run 5 days a week at varying times. But these are services that, again, are designed for you to just be able to walk in, have a cup of tea, have a vent, and really feel listened to, and also have action from that. So people will work with you long term for you to recover from experiencing mental ill health. We also have our safe haven up at Royal Oldham Hospital. So if you were to present up at A&E at the Royal Oldham in mental health distress, you would more than likely get a referral into the safe haven, which again is a safe space for you to just de-escalate, find some peace, find some calmness, and speak to a practitioner one-to-one until you feel safe again. Again, they'll work with you on a longer term basis also to get to you where you need to be. I really wish I'd have done that. I think the services like this, where you can just walk into and feel heard, are absolutely so powerful. Yeah, thank you for listening.